All right, Chelsea here on the phone with the amazing Cristina Scabbia of Lacuna Coil. Thank you for joining today. It's awesome to hear from you.
Thank you, Chelsea. Thank you so much for the invitation.
So we are here mostly to talk about your new release of Comalies XX. And this is an awesome record because it's not just a reissue or remastered album, but you took a whole new look at the original Comalies and gave it a fresh energy that is very fitting of Lacuna Coil in 2022. To start off, what made you revisit and dig so deeply into this record?
Yeah, you said it right, Chelsea. It's not a embellished version, it's not a remastered, but we really wanted to give the proper homage to a record that came out 20 years ago, Comalies. And it is very important for Lacuna Coil because it's the record that made us do, the next step. We saw things changing after Comalies. It was the very first time that we started to work in a more professional way, and we saw the popularity of the band growing, and it gave us more opportunities to travel around the world, to play and compose our music. It was worked on as a new record, though, because even though it was our tribute, it's not something that we did like, okay, there is this record, let's refresh it, let's write it in 5 minutes. We treated it as a new record, and it is sounding like a different records because we accumulated many experiences. We grew as songwriters. We write songs differently. We obviously took advantage of nowadays technology that we didn't have back then when everything was recording in analog. And we relived everything in a new spirit, but keeping the same vibe because the songwriters are still the same, just with a few more years on over the shoulders, but it's still us. So it was cool to work on something new, keeping the vibe alive, but work on a record that sounds different.
Absolutely. And sounds different and also awesome. And,
Thank
I
you.
like that you made the point, that it is the same songwriters at the end of the day, but, just like it's new versions of the song, in a way, it's new versions of the songwriters as well, because like you said, you guys have the experiences of touring and so many other records since Comalies under your belts. I feel like you definitely took a new look and new perspective as more experienced versions of yourselves.
Totally. It's like I like to say that it's like a meeting an old friend, uh which is of course someone that you've been knowing for so long and waiting to meet again. But of course this person changed along the years and it's a different person. So you're meeting a different person and how the person is in present days. So it's kind of the same idea.
Was there anything that you found a challenge to re-record or something that really, made you think hard about how best to transform it for the modern record?
Everything, because when you're redoing a record that became a cult record for many people, many fans, you're basically touching holy grounds. When you write a new record from scratch, some people will like it, some people might not like it, but it's something new. They can't say anything about it because nobody's ever heard those songs before. But in Comalies XX case, we were talking about songs that were very much loved from fans. So working on them with a different spirit, it was also risky for us because we didn't know how people would react to it. We knew that we were loving the songs, but of course you're putting out something without knowing the reaction. And this time we were expecting for the reaction from new fans, but also old school fans that knew every single song so well. So it was very stressful. Maki, our bass player, went in his house in the mountains for a long time because he was like, I don't want any distractions. Um, I just want to be alone because I have to focus on the music. It was really hard on him basically because obviously we changed some vocal lines, but we didn't change the lyrics. So for Andre and I, it was less work on this side. The music was the real change. And then, of course, we had to put everything together to change parts here and there, to re-sing everything, to re-record every bit of music. It felt like it was a new record, but with the stress of of redoing a classic record.
Kind of like a little bit of a legacy hanging over it for that album. It's like we
Yeah.
have to live up to
Yes.
this, but also you put our own new spin on it kind of thing.
Yes, not the stress, because I mean we are working towards an expectation from outside, but obviously we were feeling the pressure because we were like, okay, we love it, but of course we have been playing these songs for many years. We wrote them, so we feel we have the right to change them if we like to, but we were really wondering if our fans would have been, sharing the same opinion. And luckily they liked it very, very much. So much that now some of them are confused because they're like, we don't know anymore if we're like the original version of or the new one.
Right. Well,
And they don't even have to choose, because pretty much in every version you will find the original Comalies and Comalies XX, which I think it's a pretty cool thing.
definitely. Yeah, I was going to say they don't even have to necessarily choose. I agree because the two can stand as unique works on their own, just kind of related in a certain way. But you mentioned that you didn't have to do too much in terms of lyrics and vocals to change it up too much, but there were a few spots where you and Andrea did switch places from the original versions of the songs. So was this something that was kind of spontaneous that you found yourselves doing along the way?
Yes, because I mean, we really wanted Andrea to growl on this record. And I knew that I would have been doing some of the parts in a better way, because, of course, of the experience of, more years on the road and recording. And it absolutely happened spontaneously. And the fact that I said that Andrea and I had less to do is just because writing the lyrics, it's an extra job that singer has to do, usually compared to the rest of the band. That the band is always responsible for music. In our case, Maki is the main composer of the music. And as I said, for him it was difficult to keep the core of Comalies and transform it into a Comalies 2022. We changed completely some of the parts, but most of them we kind of kept the same. We swapped some parts, but we sung them better with a better intention, because it was not the case to change everything completely. I would have never changed it completely, because there are some things that I like very, very much. I think it vintaged very, very well throughout the years.
Absolutely. And I feel like that's a great perspective to have as a musician, kind of validating as a musician, because a lot of times, bands, when they finish a record, they might go back and kind of pick at a little bit and be like, oh, I could have done that differently, could have, approached that a different way. So
Yeah.
for you to be able to look back at certain things and say, you know what, I liked the way that was, and I'm going to
Yeah.
keep it. Like that's a great validation as a musician.
Yeah. I mean, every artist will, I pretty much every artist will tell you that they would change something about, their songs, their paintings. It's always hard to find out that moment in which a song is complete and you call it done, because you're always like, maybe I can change this, maybe I can arrange this one, maybe I could have sung this one better. But there is a point in which you have to say, okay, that's it, because if we get over, we're going to lose the purpose of writing a song, and we're going to lose, the momentum and the vibe into it.
Now, you guys also just did Coma Live, so that was a highly anticipated concert, and songs from Coma Live have always been in your set list over time. But was this actually the first time playing them all in the same set?
It was, because altogether, yes, we played 4 songs out of the set. We played Tightrope, we played Swamped, because there were videos out of it. I don't remember which other songs we did, but there were 4 on the tour we did before Come Alive. And it was special. It was very special. I mean, this was our second anniversary show. The other one was the 119 show in London, and we thought about a completely different show, because the 119 was highly spectacular. We had a big group of aerials and people working in a real circus. So we had a lot of performance on stage. We had effects. That there was a lot of things. We were playing in a setup that looked like a circus tent. And this time we wanted the opposite. We wanted the show to be very, very intimate. We wanted to keep it a one shot. We wanted um, people from all around the world together for a show that would have never been streamed. Uh, that was just happening there. We just wanted to be with our people there and live the moment. And I'm so sorry that, of course, we had to take this decision. Sometimes you just want to reach everyone, and obviously, with the streaming, with the recording, um it's easier, but we really wanted to be there with them in that precise moment. And it really happened. I mean, it felt really magical. Everybody that came to the show that I talked to really felt the intimacy of that show. During one song, I even decided to go in the crowd. Like, I just literally walked there in the middle of the crowd, without security. I felt protected. It was one of the moments in my life that I felt the most protected in a situation that could have potentially be, I'm not saying dangerous, but you know how fans can be sometimes. They want to touch you, they want to be close to you. So even without thinking about them, just like coming over me and suffocating me, everything was perfect. Everything was perfect. Everybody was like living the moment. Everybody was hearing me and the band, singing and performing, and the whole show was magical.
That's amazing. I love that you had that magical experience. I'm sure it was magical for everyone there too, definitely. So moving a little outside of the world of Lacuna Coil for a moment, a little more into Christina's world as an individual. I saw from your social media that you just went to a film premiere this week of
Yay!
Marvel's Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. That's awesome. How was that?
I went yesterday and it was amazing. It was amazing. It's a pretty long movie. It's like 2 hours, 2 hour 40. I can't spoil, of course, what I saw, but I liked it a lot. I liked it a lot. I'm one of those people that wants to enjoy the emotions out of every movies without being too anal out of them, without saying like, oh, but in the previous episode it was wearing a jacket that was slightly different. I'm not that type of person. I just want a movie to grab my attention. And as soon as, most of the times I have a very short attention span because I'm very easily distracted by things, because I'm always curious. I see something and I just want to pursue that new something that I just saw. The fact that I stayed there, like watching the movie for 2 hours 40, tells a lot, because it really caught my attention. The the fights are amazing. The CGI is amazing. I love the fierceness of the Wakanda, and I just went out of the movie like feeling stronger and empowered. It's hard to describe, but I liked it a lot.
I think you described it well, and that's awesome. And it's easy to see your connection and appreciation with pop culture and comics and Marvel and that whole world. And you're definitely familiar with comic book stories since you're also part of one as well. Can you tell me about Lacuna Coil meeting Batman there?
Yes, that's an awesome collaboration we did with DC Comics. And it was incredible for us when they asked us first. It was back in 2000 and was it 18, 19? I don't remember. Um they asked us if we wanted to become an official cover for number 68 of Batman. And we said like, what? Excuse me? Our favorite hero, what? And it came as a surprise, and I can't believe that not only in that occasion, but it happened again for another comic. And there was a very special edition that was including many things, and also a book that was putting together different designs of Lacuna Coil in the Batman world. And it was incredible. I mean, it's still amazing to think that we did this, and we're so thankful towards DC Comics for allowing us to be part of the Batman universe.
Absolutely. That's so cool. It's, two great worlds collide in a sense there, which is so fun.
Absolutely. In the darkness. Perfect.
And you were also recently part of Luca Comics and Games, which for those
Yeah.
in the US that don't know is a huge pop culture festival in Europe. I'd love to hear a little more about your involvement with that.
Yes, I mean, I've been seeing Luca Comics and Games pretty much growing during the years because a lot of people in the organization are my friends, and I remember back in I think 95, 96, and that's the very first time that I went there. It was a very extremely small. There were few booths. It was a little hangar. It was something super small, and it grew so much to become one of the biggest uh, uh, comic conventions in the world, in a city, in a beautiful city like Lucca, which is this medieval city. It's something extremely unique. And this year, my involvement was different because, I mean, we played there once with Lacuna Coil. We presented the DC Comic Batman collaboration. This year, they asked me to be part of the official hosts for the digital part. So I was on their official Twitch. We were streaming a couple of hours each a day. Actually, I was streaming a couple of hours because I had to stream with them, but I also had to do other stuff, which were including panels. I did some interviews. I did a role playing game one night with other content creators and masters. What did I do? Oh, I had the honor to moderate a panel for the new Dungeons and Dragons movie that's coming out next year. So the producer and directors came to Lucca on purpose, and I got to interview them and to present the movie or some trailers to the crowd. And it was overall a very tiring but very cool experience. I learned a lot. I have decided to try something different because I wanted to learn something. I never really did interviews. I was always the one on the other side, and I wanted to take my risks. I've learned throughout the years that it's better to have it's better to say, I tried this and I failed, but I learned from it, instead of saying like, oh, I didn't have the balls to do it and I lost the opportunity. I like to learn this way, in the roughest way. But everything went amazingly. I learned so much. I worked with an amazing crew, and I'm very happy about that.
That's awesome. And I totally agree. And I'm glad you had that awesome experience. Something I have to throw out here is we're approaching the holidays, and I have to say that Lacuna Coil Naughty Christmas song is part of my yearly listening. It always gets stuck in my head. It's so great. The
That
first time
makes
I
me
heard it, I
so
loved it.
happy. That makes me so happy because, I mean, it became a classic somehow, and it's the same for us. We always play it around Christmas. And the inspiration for it came out of Krampus, which is basically the not the helper of Saint Nicholas, but he is the, let's say, is the guy, let's call it a guy, that basically punishes kids that haven't behaved during the year. So we said, okay, we don't want to make a song about Santa, but about the Krampus. And it was born, and it's our favorite.
It's so much fun and fits in perfectly. The metal world would feel a little weird sometimes, probably talking about Santa, but Krampus perfect, fits perfectly fine.
Krampus perfect. I love it. I love Krampus. And we have so many cultural rituals here about Krampus. They even do sometimes parades in costumes of Krampus. And I've never witnessed one. I've seen some of the Krampuses at Luca Comics, and I was like, oh wait. And it was awesome. But they were like three. There are some parades with like a lot of them.
That's so fun. It's funny, it's really not so much of a thing in the US, but I mean they did have that Krampus film a couple years ago, and I feel like people are a little more aware now, but it's just interesting because I do see a lot of references in European culture and bands and stuff. Everybody tends to know about Krampus.
They should know. They should know. They should Google it. It's
Exactly.
cool. if you behave.
Exactly. Gotta be careful. Yeah, of course, the holidays are approaching. We'll definitely be blasting Lacuna Coil's Naughty Christmas. Gotta
Thank
listen
you.
to that. Tell me what else is on the horizon for Cristina and for Lacuna Coil.
Well, we are going to be leaving soon. We have some gigs aligning. We're going to be away for about a month. We're going to come back right before Christmas. We're going to be in Dubai for the first time, in Singapore for the first time, in Manila for the first time, Colomado for the first time. And then we're coming back to Australia for Good Things Festival, for different gigs, and then we're going back to Japan. We're going to be playing in Tokyo. We're going to be staying there a couple of extra days as tourists, and it's going to be, a lot of flights, but I'm sure that we're going to have a great time.
Keeping busy and just having a great time with Lacuna Coil, Comalies XX. Congrats on the release, and it's been awesome talking to you today. Thank you so much.
Thank you. My pleasure, Chelsea.